Hi friends, it's James and welcome back to my channel. So you've recently acquired one of the new MacBooks, either the ones with the fancy new silicon chips or the ones that released earlier this year in March. This may be your first MacBook or any Apple product for that matter, or you may have been owning Apple products for as long as you can remember and you've just decided to upgrade. Either way, you've got a fancy new shining laptop sitting in front of you, so here are a few tips and tricks to help you get started. Let's jump straight in.
Okay, so the first thing that I'd recommend you do is enable stacks on your desktop. So you can see here on the right side of my desktop, I have 4 files and they're just stacked on top of each other. However, it doesn't look that nice. Let me show you what stacks does. If you right click on your desktop and then you go ahead and click on use stacks, this will essentially organize those files into categories. So for example, there's now an images file with my 3 images in it, and then there's just a file on top. And if I had multiple web files, then this would be organized into a web folder. And this applies for all different types of files. So in a nutshell, what Stacks does is it organizes your files into categories and stores them nicely on your desktop. This therefore allows for you to easily find files quickly when you need them. So the next thing that I recommend that you do when you get your new MacBook, or if you're making your MacBook more productive, is to change the position of the dock. When you first open up a brand new MacBook, the dock will be located on the bottom side of the screen. And in terms of a productivity point of view, this actually is bad, as in it takes up part of your screen where like extra space could be used. Whereas if you had it on the right hand side, this wouldn't really affect the application you're in terms of space. So I'd recommend moving it either to the right or the left. Personally, I'd recommend going to the right because if you set it to the left, when you're going to exit an application by clicking the X in the top left, you might accidentally open an app. So to change the position of the dock, what you want to do is come over to the dock, right click and go to position on screen and then select the position, and right if you want to do what I just suggested. Okay, so the next thing I'm recommending is hot corners. And hot corners is something that I absolutely love, as in it's something I use every day. So essentially what a hot corner is, if you didn't know what it is that when you move your cursor into any corner of the screen, it does a certain action. So for example, let me show you. If I move my cursor into the top right of the screen, it activates a screensaver like this. Or if I move it into the bottom right of my screen, it shows me every application that's open, if I had an application open, which I don't at the current moment. So let me show you how you can set this up. So you want to go ahead and open System Preferences. So once System Preferences has opened, you want to go ahead and click on the Desktop and Screensaver option. You then want to click on the Screensaver option at the top, and then you want to go down and click on the Hot Corners section. And then it will open up this pop-up box where you can choose what action will happen when you go to each corner of the screen. So as you can see here, I've got screensaver set to here. I won't read them all out, but as you can read it for yourself. But the way you change them is just literally clicking on it and choosing what you want it to do. And I'd highly recommend that you set this up, as it is extremely useful. Trust me, it actually is. You'll see when you start to use it. So in macOS, quite a lot of movement around the operating system can be done, and probably should be done, via keyboard shortcuts. I'd honestly, if you're not familiar with macOS and you don't really know these, I'd recommend that you start to learn these, because trust me, it's going to save you a lot of time. So just for example, if you want to open the Spotlight search, that's Command Spacebar, and then you could type whatever you want. And another command, for example, which is very useful, is switching between applications, which is Command Shift Tab, and then you can just tab between any application that you have open. But I'm going to leave a link in the description to all of the key macOS keyboard shortcuts that you should be using. So following on from the keyboard shortcuts, there's quite a lot of trackpad shortcuts that you should be using. So for example, some of my favorites and I use every day are using 3 fingers to swipe up. That shows you everything that's open within a desktop. I currently have nothing open. But so let's say you have multiple browser windows open, and so let's say you swipe down on the trackpad with 3 fingers, then this will show you all of those browser windows that are open. So I'll also leave a link in the description to a website that will show you all of the main trackpad shortcuts that you should learn, because trust me, they're really useful once you know them. So this next tip isn't directly related to macOS. it's more to do with the touch bar. So what I'm going to recommend is don't be scared of the touch bar. It's a lot more useful than you think it is. It isn't a downside to the laptop, it's more of an upside when you know how you can use it and what you can use it for. So for example, let's say you do a lot of productivity work, then it actually displays quite a lot of information on it. I've created some other videos to do with the touch bar about how you can make it more productive, is it worth it? So I'll leave a link for those in the description if you want to check those out, if you want to know more about the touch bar. But just a quick overview, like some quick tips about the touch bar that I'm going to recommend is to do with like adjusting the volume and the brightness. So if you hold down on the volume key and just move your finger to the left, it adjusts the volume, as in you don't have to tap and slide, you could do it all within one motion. And that applies for the same for the brightness.
So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found something useful in it. If you have, please do consider giving this video a like, as well as subscribing. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!